Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the porch. Mike. It's raining. It just got through raining. It's still raining a little bit, so you may be hearing some of that on the microphone. Um, today I was driving back from one of my offices. I think I mentioned before my job now. I cover two offices, so the one in Jacksonville, one in Gainesville, and so the drive to Gainesville is it's almost 2 hours each way. So I got a lot of time to think on the drive. And I don't know why I always, when I'm driving, more so home in the morning, I'm just tired and thinking about what I got to do. In the afternoon, I don't know why your mind wanders, thinks about, mine always wanders to stuff that happened during my career. Um, Unfortunately, bad things I've seen and witnessed, been part of, or um, and I don't know why. I don't know why I do that. You can't help it. Anytime your mind goes quiet, which driving that back roads long distance, I don't know why. It's a beautiful drive. It's easy. There's not a lot of traffic, and maybe that's why. But you're trying to go to sleep, your mind wanders. Anytime your mind um, gets a break, it seems like you think about all the horrific stuff you saw during your career. At least for me, I guess not everybody's like that. But so today I was driving, and one thing that always pops up, and it's not even close to being the worst thing that I saw or had to do, but it's something that I guess maybe because it was so early in my career that it bothered me. So I started with the sheriff's office in 1989 as a reserve officer, which is basically an unpaid officer, volunteer type thing. And I got hired full time a few years later as an actual officer, deputy, whatever, the sheriff's office. And it was probably, I was on probably not even 2 years. I think I was probably 23, 20 something, 24 maybe, 23. And I was working a 1 to 9 shift, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it was crazy. Shift was always busy in the afternoon. But I got a call right when I checked on and said it was a traffic accident involving a vehicle versus a motorcycle. So I get to the call. It already occurred, so it wasn't anything active scene. I mean, it was active scene, but it didn't just occur. It had happened earlier in the day. And I get there, and there's officers there, and traffic homicide was there, and they were doing their thing. And basically, this vehicle, and I don't know who was at fault even because I can't remember, but the motorcycle that was hit had two teenage boys on it. One was, I say teenage, one was probably 20 and one was 18. But kids, they lived at home. And the traffic homicide sergeant says, "Hey, I need you to go to the kid's house and notify the parents about this." Remember, this was 94, 95, so there was no cell phones really. I mean, there may have been, but we didn't have, most people didn't have them at that point. So I said, okay. And I'm dreading that because it's the first time I ever had to do that. So I drive to these folks' house, and they didn't live too far from the crash. And it's in a little decent suburb. And I go knock on the door. Nobody answers. So I don't know, what do I do now? You don't really want to. I was going to leave my business card on the door, and I see a guy walking across the street, so I holler over at him, and of course he sees the police car, so he's curious. He comes over and he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "Well," kind of told him. I said, "These kids got in a motorcycle crash, and I'm supposed to notify the parents." He goes, "Oh, they're out of town. They left for Montana uh, yesterday, or whatever, a few days before prior, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, what the heck? Because there's no cell phones or anything. And I said, so we went in the house. Well, he had a key to the house. He's kind of watching the boys, semi, not really, but he just was an adult there if they needed somebody, a neighbor. So he says, I said, do you know how to get in touch with them? He said, no, I don't know. I said, they got some family up there. And they just said the boys would be home and just keep an eye on them if they need anything. Um, so I said, well, you have a key to the house. So he said, yeah, I got a key. So we went in the house and we kind of looked around in the mail for I was thinking parents probably left a note with a phone number where they were going. I would think something would probably be on the counter. So sure enough, there was a note. So I made the call. I called the number, and it was the folks in Montana where they were going. The parents weren't there yet. And it was some family. I can't remember how they were related. But I told them, I said, well, I asked them, I said, are these folks here yet? I told them who it was, and they said, no, they're not. They're not here. What's going on? I said, well, um, you're gonna have to call the sheriff's office when they get there, because I told them, what happened, and they're gonna need to come back because we probably need to talk to them about their boys. And now remember, I'm like 23 myself. I'm not much older than these kids, and I don't know, I'd never done this before. And looking back, usually after having been a detective for 20 years, usually the detectives went and did that. I don't know to this day why they sent me to go do this. Um, I mean, patrol does sometimes, but generally it's something like that. The detective would go talk to the family, but there I was, and I don't know why, because the boys were there when I got to the scene still, so I did see them, which was not good, but I don't know why that whole thing bothered. I don't know why, because like I said, I didn't even ever talk to the parents. I left a message with the family and said, just call the sheriff's office, ask for the detective, his name. Um, but for some reason, my mind always goes to that, and I guess it bothered me, especially when I had kids. I remember thinking, God, that would be a terrible visit to get at your door. And later on in my career, I unfortunately did several of those notifications, and I'll talk about some of them because if you talk to anybody who's law enforcement, they'll tell you that's probably one of the worst things you ever have to do. I mean, how do you tell somebody that their loved one is gone? I mean, without, it's never good. It's never good because, but I don't know. I don't know why I think of that. If anybody has any thoughts on why that would be, let me know because I'd like to get some of these memories out of my mind. But it seems like every time your mind goes quiet, you think about things like that happened during your career, and there's a ton of them, and you don't know why. And sometimes you're just driving home from work, like a normal drive home, or sometimes you're just sitting here on the weekend smoking a cigar by your wife's at work. I'm sitting out here, and I'll start thinking about stuff like that, and kind of get you down, you know. I did a lot of good things in my career that I'm very proud of. Helped a lot of people, um, but for some reason, your mind goes to the negative and the bad and the things that you saw and had to do. I don't know why. Um, I don't even know why I probably shouldn't have made this video, but it happened today. It happened today. Maybe that's why. I'm thinking about them kids, and they live. We still live. We don't live in Jacksonville. We live just south of Jacksonville, St. Augustine area. But I drive up there. It's in the southern part of the county where I used to live and work, and so I drive past where they live. occasionally and near it all the time. And every time I've driven down that road, I can't go down that road without thinking about that. That even that I can picture pulling into that driveway or pulling onto the street. Anyway, I'm sure every job has its things like that aren't fun, especially if you're some kind of first responder in the military. You know, you got things that rattle through your mind, and you don't know why, because you don't. It's not like you enjoy it. It's not like you like that memory. You think you could block it out, you know, but you can't. But anyway, today I got this Oliva Melanio. These are good. I've been smoking. This is probably not one of the first cigars, but I started out with like Romeo and Julietas and Monte Cristos and things like that. A cousin of mine was into these cigars many years ago. But when I started buying my own, the Olivas are probably one of the first ones that I bought. And I don't buy them a lot now, but I don't know why, because they're pretty darn good. And then today I picked up this here Knob Creek Blenders Edition. It's 107, 106 proof, something like that. It's a limited release. It's a batch for edition 1. I read today online that they're going to, it's going to be a series. So I guess they're going to have, I think it's different blenders that work for them put out a bottle. But I'm going to tell you this thing, I think I paid maybe $40 for it today. And it's awesome. It is really good. I like Knob Creek anyway. Some people don't. My favorite's probably the 12. Knob Creek 12 year is delicious. I always have a bottle of that in the backup. But this thing here, if you could find it, it's not very expensive from what I see. It's not. It's. I don't know if it's allocated. It's a limited release. I don't know how many bottles they made, but if you can get your hands on one, I'd make it my mission to find one. It's vanilla, a little sweet. It has a typical Knob Creek, but it's a little sweeter, but not bad sweet. You know, some people don't like a sweet whiskey, but it's just got good flavors. And it's funny because the nose, when I opened it, I thought, dang, that's a little ethanol-y. So I was disappointed because I'm like, I'm trying to thin out my bottle collection and try not to buy new stuff. I'm trying to finish up, but I've seen some reviews on this, and I like Knob Creek, and I said I'm gonna give it a try. But then I tasted it, and man, it's good. I'd try it if you could find it. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Looking forward to the weekend. Tomorrow, I think my wife and I will be married 33 years. Tomorrow's our anniversary. So, of course, we're going to go to the beach or something, but it's probably going to rain. But we may go anyway. We'll see. We'll find something to do. But anyway, you guys have a good evening and stay safe and take care of yourselves. And find you a bottle of this Knob Creek Blenders Edition. You won't be sorry. See you later.